my name is Akinomi. Okay. So like Fumi had said, my name is Akinomi Akomoto, and I lead the Learning and Influence Unit at Faith Foundation. Faith Foundation is a 21-year-old not-for-profit organization, and we are committed to supporting entrepreneurs to start, to grow, and to scale their businesses. And we do that with targeted capacity development, mentoring, funding linkages, and other supports that are required for entrepreneurs to be able to grow sustainable businesses in Nigeria. And we welcome you on behalf of the Executive Director, Adenike Adeyemi. I welcome everyone to today's session, and it definitely promises to be an exciting time. Without taking further time, our facilitators are here today. So maybe if you please project your screen. So we have two facilitators today from Navdark who would be leading us in this session. And our first facilitator is Mr. Anyankop, and he is the head of Navdark Regulated Products Automated Database. Mr. Anyankop is an assistant director in the Drug Registration and Regulatory Affairs Directorate of Navdark. He currently heads Navdark Regulated Products Automated Database and the Navdark Automated Products Monitoring and Administration System that houses the e-registration portal for all Navdark regulated products. He holds a Bachelor of Technology in Industrial and Food Microbiology from Akure, and a postgraduate certification in Food Safety Risk Management from US FDA and University of Maryland, USA, and he joined Navdark in 2002. Our second speaker today is Mr. Declan. Mr. Declan heads the Small Business Support Desk at Navdark. He is a clinical pharmacist and a regulatory specialist at Navdark So Mr. Declan is a very dedicated and result-oriented person who performs very creditably on a regular basis without any persuasion. He's very knowledgeable and always eager to update his skills in his areas of expertise. He holds a master's degree in clinical pharmacy and biopharmacy, clinical, hospital and managed care pharmacy from the Lagos State University, LASU. He joined Navdark in 2001. So ladies and gentlemen, without wasting further time, I'd like to hand over to our speakers for today. Like my colleague had said, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and we will take your questions after the presentation. And we already have some questions that have been sent to us before the session today, and we will take some of those questions ahead first before we take the questions on the platform. So have a wonderful time, and I will see you at the end of the session. Mr. Yankop, over to you. If you please share your screen, you have the rights to do that now. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Yankop. Hello, Mr. Yankop, are you there?
Okay, sorry, I've been speaking without unmuting my mic. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Good morning, okay, sir, and it's great to have you.
Good morning, Mr. Akimomi. Both of us resource persons, we are here. We decided to stay together so that there can be some synergy in the course of making our presentations.
Awesome.
My colleague is going to do the first presentation because he actually has the general overview and is an expert in the small business support desk. He's more of a regulator than I am in this presentation. So he will look at the regulatory perspective. I am going to do the technical aspect, that is the electronic registration, the process, and all the intricacies involved. So it is better we hear him first.
Okay.
And I will put up his presentation right away. And after that, I will come in and make my own presentation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Nyanko.
Let me try to bring up his presentation. Please confirm, can you see his presentation?
What we are seeing is the folder. So if you click on stop share and then share again, so that it will be that particular presentation. What we're seeing now is the folder.
Okay, let me just. Okay, can you see anything now?
No, we're still seeing just the folder, sir.
Okay, all right.
So if you stop sharing and then share again, you'll be able to share that particular.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
Can I stop share? Okay, stop.
Yes.
Share. Okay.
Exactly.
And then. Okay. Okay, so can we see us?
Perfectly, we can see it perfectly now, sir.
All right. So over to you, Mr. Declan.
All right.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Akinwumi. Good morning,
Mr. Declan.
Good morning. We bring you good tidings from NAFDAC, the Director General, and of course, our Director, Dr. Monica Imunjeze, on whose permission we are privileged to being with you in this very program. And we're also happy that Faith Foundation is identifying with the small businesses, because we know that without small businesses, the economy of this country will not grow. And in fact, small businesses are the bedrock of the growth of any economy. So we thank you, and we give it all to you, because you've been at the forefront really of trying to encourage micro, small, and medium enterprises. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I'll go straight away to the presentation. And that's about NAFDAC product registration process. It's going to be all encompassing, involving both small businesses and other types of, businesses that we do. And my intro is the content is as follows: the overview, the introduction, the way NAFDAC is, the directorates involved in registration of products, and then registration of a product proper. We'll talk about it, the documentation required, the kind of facility, and then the type of product you're registering, because these all speak to those requirements that you need for you to register a product. Then I'll talk about the centralization, because that's where the MSMEs are really, really involved, and that's what we have done to help the MSMEs. And then when we talk about that, we'll now talk about what goes wrong in product registration, because a lot of people get it wrong, and most times they'll turn around and start blaming NAFDAC. And then after that, we'll talk about the type of licenses we issue upon registration, because it's not, NAFDAC license is not an all-in-one license that once you get it, you start doing anything for any length of time, and then we conclude. So NAFDAC mandates, all of us know NAFDAC, were established by Decree 15 of 1993, which was amended by NAFDAC Decree 19 of 1999. And now we call it the NAFDAC Act, Cap N1 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. And that act mandates NAFDAC to regulate and control the manufacture, importation, exportation, distribution, advertisement, sale, and use of food, drugs, cosmetics, chemicals, detergents, medical devices, and packaged water, known as NAFDAC regulated products. And our mission is to safeguard public health by ensuring that only safe, quality, and efficacious NAFDAC regulated products are manufactured, imported, exported, distributed, advertised, sold, and used. Advertised in every media, both in digital and in analog, everywhere. Presently, the structure of NAFDAC, we have quite some directorates, about 16 of it. The admin and human resources, the finance and accounts, planning, research, statistics, registration and regulatory affairs, ports inspection, lab services, investigation and enforcement, narcotics and controlled substances, drug evaluation and research, chemical evaluation and research, food safety and applied nutrition, pharmacovigilance and post-marketing surveillance, veterinary medicines and allied products, and illegal services. And NAFDAC is present in all the 36 states of the Federation and also in Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. And we also have directorates in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country and the FCD, and all are headed by a director. And then we have also the Office of Special Duties in the Director General's office, which includes the public relations and protocol, the audit, and the technical services. That's an overview of how NAFDAC is. And then from amongst all these directorates, there are some technical directorates you must get involved with, apart from the payments you do and other things, when you want to register a product. And you know that product registration is a painstaking stepwise process involving 4 or 5 or more directorates in the agency. And they include drug evaluation and research for establishment inspection of drugs, herbal products, cosmetics, hand wash, liquid soaps, and allied products. And you have to meet this kind of directorates if you are one of those people that want to, on a large scale, when you grow from MSME scale to a bigger scale in the manufacture of cosmetics, hand wash, liquid soaps, and their group. These ones are part of those products that has been decentralized. I'll talk about it later. Then the food safety and applied nutrition for establishment inspection for prepackaged food products, drinks, alcoholic beverages, and water. Part of the things that are done by food safety and applied nutrition has also been taken over by a special office known as Lagos State Office. These are the people that, as MSMEs, that you have to, meet for you to register your product, especially as MSMEs. But when you're doing on a larger scale, when you cascade from just an MSME to a bigger company, which we anticipate that everybody should do under the MSME, that's when ordinarily you have to meet these people. Then the veterinary medicine and allied products. These are people that, coordinate establishment inspection for animal health and allied veterinary products. All those chemicals, all those your veterinary drugs and other products like that. Agrochemicals and other products in that line. Then the lab services, of course, for quality tests and specification involving these products, because all products that you bring to us will have to really be sure that what you said they are what they are and what they contain. Then we have the Drug Registration and Regulatory Affairs Directorate that coordinates activities of all these directorates. When they finish inspection and when you submit all the documentation, it is there that we coordinate and give you that NAFDAC registration number. There are now 2 directorates in that aspect, the food and the drug. There's also the Food Registration and Regulatory Affairs Directorates that also coordinates the activities of all the directorates regarding food and allied food matters. Then let's talk about registering a product. We all know that one of the regulatory mechanisms for control and regulation of importation, manufacture, and distribution of NAFDAC-regulated products is to ensure that they are safe. Safety is very key. And then of good quality and also efficacious in registration and licensing. You can't take away these attributes for a NAFDAC, a product that has NAFDAC registration number. And we can approach this from 3 broad perspectives, which are the documentation aspect, the kind of facility you're using, a kind of product, and the product itself. And then the steps that you must have to painstakingly undergo, like I said before, include the submission of an application. You need an application for you to say, yes, want to register a product. You can't just get a number from limbo. Then the inspection I'm talking about, those technical directorates, the inspection of the manufacturing facility, which is what we call the good manufacturing practice assessment. And then You submit the samples that you are producing, of course, or that you've produced. And then we do a lab testing to know whether actually it meets up to our specification. And upon satisfactory analysis, the product is presented for what we call approval. There are approval meetings, series of approval meetings. And after that, if it's approved, you get what we call the marketing authorization, which is granted, and that NAFDAC number is issued subsequently. Then documents. What documents do I need to register a product? These documents include a duly filled application form, an application letter requesting to register the product or products concerned, 3 copies of label on artwork, certificate of incorporation of a company or the business registration. You need a certificate of, because you can't just register a product under your personal name. It must be a body corporate that we use to register a product. I think one of the questions that was advanced to me spoke to that. Then contract manufacturing agreements. This has to do with when you don't have money to set up an establishment of your own, and there is some other person who is making that kind of product that you already want to make, and you now have an agreement with that company to make your own product in his own factory name. We allow that. We call it contract manufacturing agreement. So you have to have an agreement with that person that is notarized that you have to submit to us. It must not be you if you don't have money. So that's a leeway for you to be able to register your product if you don't have money to establish a facility. Then evidence of trademark approval from the Federal Ministry of Commerce and Industry for branded products, because every person wants to brand his product. You want to call it a name. You don't just call it a name without having it go through a government parastatal that registered the mark, the name of the product. So that's part of the documentation that we require. And then for cosmetics and food products, we look at labels critically. When you finish producing a product, you have an artwork for a product. We look at the labels to be sure that it is what it should be. And labels shall be informative and accurate about the product. And in addition to the NAFDAC minimum labeling regulations, requirements, there are some minimum things that I expect that a NAFDAC label should have. It should have the name of the product. The brand name or common name, where applicable, must appear in bold letters, not in shaded letters. Then the full location address of the manufacturer. Where is it being manufactured? Is it being contract manufactured? It can be, it must not be your own facility, like I said before. Then we have to have a batch, because products are produced in batches. The batch number of the product, the date of manufacture, the best before date or the expiry date. And then we have to see a quantitative listing of the products in descending order in mils, grams, or kilograms of those items used to make the product. And then you have to make a provision for NAFDAC registration number. And then for cosmetics, bleaching agents like mercury and its compounds, corticosteroids are not permitted in cosmetic products. Then lanolin and boric acid are not permitted in baby products. For food products, the ingredients must be listed in their predominance by weight, unless the food is standardized, in which case the label must include only those ingredients which the standard makes optional. Food additives must be declared on the label, whichever additive you used. Then spices, flavors, and colors may be listed as such without naming the specific material, but any artificial color of flavor must be identified as such. And then the facility itself now. Let's talk about the facility. The facility speaks to the kind of structure in the manufacturing process undertaken in that environment. Depending on the manufacturing process, the packaging, the formulation type, and the extent of data submitted to support stability of the product, the micro, small, and medium enterprises facilities has been categorized. And the safety flow requirements can be obtained from the inspecting directorates. I talked about the directorates, technical directorates, how the flow that you require, the veterinary medicine and allied products, the food safety and applied nutrition, the drug evaluation and research, depending on how big. And then the Lagos State Office for MSMEs, Lagos State Office, there's a new directorate created specifically for MSME products, Lagos State Office, located in Oshodi, Lagos, Nigeria. Every state office is also empowered to do same. By the time I talk about decentralization, you see the category of products are involved in that. Then documents for inspection, because before they come to register your product, we need to come and see where you're making the facility. You need a place. Then you have to apply for an inspection, of course. Then you have to give us samples of packaging materials. You have to give us certificate of business incorporation of a company. Like I said, a body corporate must be needed. Then you have to give us evidence of trademark registration of a product brand. Then you give us the present company's organogram. You have to have an organogram. You as the MD, who is the head of quality assurance, who is that, you have to give us an organogram of how the flow of information goes in the company. Then we need, of course, a production manager, quality control manager, letter of appointment for the production or quality control manager. And then we need the acceptance of the appointments from the quality control manager. And then the credential of the quality control manager, product manager, because there's a minimum qualification for that. And then, of course, we need evidence of payment of inspection, lab analysis, one of the documents for inspection, and then the SOP, what we call the SOP, standard operating procedures, that speaks to how things are done in the facility. So that should one person leave the facility and employ another person, it just needs to look at the SOP so that the person can key into what you're doing. And then we need the SOP also for cleaning. How do you clean the place? So that even if a cleaner leaves, another cleaner is employed, you can see how cleaning is done. And then quality control and maintenance of the facility. Then we also need to list of production and quality control facilities. Then retainership agreements with a public analyst for some few things. And then food handlers tests for employment, because people that are in food facility need to be healthy at all times. They need that test to assure us that the person that is producing the products for the public to consume does not have an ailment, an underlying ailment. Especially these days of COVID and COVID-19 and respiratory tract infections. So we also need you to have a retainership agreement with the hospital where you treat them, because there should be somewhere that if your staff are not healthy, you should treat them. You should be responsible for their welfare and health. Then laboratory report of products of the product. But in case of water, the analysis should be for raw or treated water. Then other documents are fumigation certificate of the factory premises, retainership agreement with a fumigation company, that comes to do fumigation, especially for food, because rodents always attack and can infest the food facilities or the food, the raw materials. And then for water-based products, geological survey report of the borehole, and then the batch formulation where applicable and any other relevant information. Then let's talk about the type of product. I haven't talked about the facility. The product type has been categorized, like I said before, as either high or low risk products. High risk products are not limited to milk and dairy products. As an MSME, it will be difficult for us to allow you to produce milk and dairy products as MSME. Fish and fish products, except the dried ones. Meat and meat products, except the dried ones. Dried ones because when you dry them, you would have killed all microorganisms or made sure that the media that will encourage the growth of microorganisms are no more in that environment. Poultry and poultry products, of course. Packaged cooked rice, because when something is cooked, it also forms a media for growth of microorganisms. Beans or fresh vegetable. These are things that can easily culture microorganisms. Baked potatoes, beverages, and packaged water. Then let's talk about the low risk or decentralization of product registration. These are the ones that we have categorized in such a way that MSMEs can produce, and these are the ones that you can do from both the Lagos State Office and all the state offices. So this decentralization is one of the new initiatives of the agency aimed at ensuring quick dispensation in service delivery and avoid unnecessary delays in obtaining marketing authorization for some class of regulated products, low-risk products under the micro, small, and medium enterprises. And the scope of the products to be under these products include bread and bread products, packaged water for renewals only, not for new products. When you're renewing them, we decentralize it because the product has already had a number and at least we can attest to the quality. Then dry finger foods, all the chin-chins, the popcorn, the plantain chips and potato chips, and then locally grown rice and other farm produce, other agricultural products, seasoning and spices, the palm oil and other fortified extracted oils, honey, then the hand wash, like I said before, the liquid soaps, the car wash, and other soap-based products, petrol and petroleum jelly. So having named those products, we can now ask ourselves, what goes wrong? Why can't I register product? Why is it that whenever I enter NAFDAC, they will tell me that I have a compliance? I identify the 3 key things in products as documentation, facility, and type of product. Documentation. Most times, documentation can be incomplete or grossly inadequate. If you want to register a product and you say you want to register it under your own name, it's not possible. You have to have a body corporate. You have to have the packaging materials. You have to have a letter. You have to have a form, documents that we need. Then, non-compliance with the labeling requirements. For instance, some people will put unsubstantiated claims in their labels, especially our brothers in the cosmetic industry and even herbal products. You find out they tell you that one herbal product cures more than 300 diseases, which you and I know is not true. Then, the non-compliance to the compliance directive, we call it the CD. When we tell you to do a particular thing in a particular way and you don't do it, of course, these things cause delay, especially the prompt compliance with them. And then lack of contact information. In this time and age, we expect that whenever you're sending us a letter or you have a letterheaded paper, you should have an email. The world has gone digital. You should have a phone number that exists. Even some big companies these days, they will leave a phone number of company that they used when they started like in the 60s, which does not exist. So contact information is very clean, very, very, very key. And then unsubstantiated claims, like I said before, things that are not true, you put it on the label. It can affect registration process. Then when we finish registering products, what kind of license do we issue upon registration? There are 2 essential licenses we give. One is the one called listing license, which only lasts for 2 years. After 2 years, as an MSME, you are bound to come back to renew the validity of your license. It's not like when we give it to you, you now have NAFDAC number, you can go endlessly with it. No, we expect you to, every 2 years, you come and renew the license. Then for full registration, which lasts for 5 years, after 5 years, they will come back to renew the registration. All MSME products are issued only listing registration status. So we'll conclude. So I thought that I have provided some clarity on how we can easily register our products without delay. And we encourage all applicants to come directly to NAFDAC to embark on this exercise. I'll stress this because I'm not saying you should not go through a second or third party, but if you go through that, it's at your own risk because the charge is going to be higher. You're going to pay for consultancy. Please come on your own. Just come. Feel free, come. We will direct you. Everything is easy and seamless. And then for more information on specific guidelines, please visit our website at www.navdac.gov.ng or send specific questions to us at our registration email. So feel free. So with this, I want to thank you for listening and thank you for inviting us to share some of the things we do at NAFDAC with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Declan. I mean, that was, I don't know, but for me, I think so much information is embedded within, just about 25 minutes of speaking, and you've been able to say a lot that about documentation, about facility, and the interesting part for me is you have also mentioned those major issues that causes delays in registration for NAFDAC and also people not getting the kind of registration that they would have loved to get. So I think it's a good time to then listen to our second speaker, Mr. Ayankop, and then we'll go into question and answer. There is a question and answer session that you need to use. So because a lot of people are saying a lot of things, so it might be hard to sieve out questions from the chat because people are saying thank you and introducing themselves. But if you can use the question and answer, it would be good so that we can easily identify that. Let me also mention that we're filled to capacity. We have room to take in 300 people on this Zoom call, but if you have anyone who wants to be part of the program, we are live on YouTube at Faith Foundation. So if you go to YouTube and then search for Faith Foundation, you will be able to watch this presentation live. So please, you can advise those who are not able to join into the session to join us on YouTube. So at this point, I'd like to welcome our second speaker, Mr. Ayankop. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is seeing my screen. Hello? Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
Okay.
Very clear. Yes.
I thank my colleague, Mr. Declan. He has been on this small business support desk and he's been doing quite a good job. He's also available for direct assistance. If you need him, you can always reach out to him in our office, and he will always be on ground to give all kind of support. My own presentation is going to be zoomed in on the e-registration process, and we call it Napalms. So we take off. Napalms means NAFDAC Automated Product Administration and Monitoring System. That's the electronic registration for our for NAFDAC, for all our registered products. The presentation is going to have basically three components. I have about 40 slides, but three components. Number one, introduction. I will take you through the electronic process of application and data capture, and then of course all the other things that the clients can do on the electronic registration platform, napalms.org. Okay, so number one, product application process covers new products, that you have new products to register, or you want to renew the products you've registered. He's told you that all MSME products are listed. That means they have only 2-year validity. After 2 years, you have to renew your registration, and they will review the status and determine whether you are qualified to continue or to discontinue or to be upgraded. Then we have variations. Variations means you can change your pack size, change your packaging design, change your manufacturing site. Initially, you probably shared a site facility with somebody else, but now you have over 2 years, you built your own factory, or you want to change source, you want to source your product from X instead of Y. Those things are captured in Napalms, and then of course, data capture. Now, Napalm's client process covers 7 major activities, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Number one, company profile registration. You need to come in and register your profile, your business. We have to see your presence on the platform so that we know you are there. And then we also have product registration application. That's a process. And then of course we have e-payment. You can sit down in the convenience of your house and make payment for whatever service that NAFDAC is charging you for. And then of course you can submit your application online. You can track your application, who is sitting on your, in the days past when there was no electronic process, people will say, until you pass money to somebody, they will sit on your application. In this electronic process, you can see who is sitting on your application, and you can raise dust if he sits too tight on top of your application. So you can track it. And then you can also do other administrative processes, like you can change your email address. If you used to use Yahoo before, you can now do your corporate email. You can also change your quality assurance officer. Maybe the man left you because you, for one reason or the other, you can change him, and you can do a lot of other activities on the platform. Also, you can also pick up your certificates online. So you don't need to come to NAFDAC. Right in your house, you can click and then you print your NAFDAC certificate. The Napalm's platform landing page looks like this. You see Napalms and they say, are you new? Register an account. So you go to where you see me pointing red, circling red, you see sign in. So you click as client if you are a new user. I mean, if you're an old user, you sign in. But if you are a newcomer, you click on register an account. You create an account with Napalms. So once you click on that, the thing will take you to a new page, which is this. If you are a returning client, you check on towards my right. If you are a new client, you click on register on towards my left, and then you log in. Now, if you are new, the system will take you to upload your details. It's just a normal interactive document requirement where you need to fill information. There's a place I put a big arrow there, and that is the company type. If your company is a medium, in NAFDAC classification, we have micro, we have small, and then we have medium. That's the MSMEs. And we copy our categorization from the SMEDAN, that's a small and medium business agency of Nigeria. And so we categorize companies based on that. Even the tariff, the charges we charge you are based on the scale of your company. So it's very important you note the scale that you choose in that place. Then you click, you fill in all the other requirements that are stipulated there. You have to fill in these things because in most cases, it may not allow you to progress your application unless you have completed it properly. Then, of course, you need to upload some documents, certificate of incorporation. If you're a pharmacist license, if that's optional. And then current premises, if you're a pharmacist. If you're not a pharmacist, the thing will not give you any requirement. And then, of course, current premises license expiry date. Not really talking about the license itself, but the date. The system does auto date input. So if you try to put the date by yourself, the system will not accept it. So there's always a small button, a small icon just below the date. You click on it and it will just open up the date for you. So you'll be able to select and it will become standardized. Once you have submitted your application, your profile, the system will acknowledge it, send you an email by the official email that you submitted and ask you to verify your account. So you need to go to your email, you click on it, it will show you the link there. From the link, you can click on and then verify your account with Napalms. Now, once that is done, the system will also send you a mail that your account has been created successfully and so forth. And then you can now log in, you can now come in and log in, not as a newcomer now, but as a client towards your right top corner. And once you log in, this is how your dashboard looks like. You have the dashboard. The dashboard actually gives you a first-hand information of what goes on in your account. If you have any applications that are pending, maybe you have submitted, you are yet to make payment, or you have any application you have submitted, you are yet to, you have a compliance directive, the dashboard will give you. And then all the other buttons you see on the left down are available for you. If you want to register your product new as a new registration, you click on the new registration. The particular places where these tabs are have been changed over time, you know, to make it more friendly. But anyhow, you see everything is written in English and you can actually read and you can know where you're talking about. Now, if you are registering a new product, you click on register a new product. It will now ask you, what's the application type? If it's a new product, it's a food, what is the category? As you click, it will just navigate you, easily like that. If it's food, what is the product source? Is it imported or local? If it is imported, what kind of product is it? Is it a beverage? Is it a fish product? Is it a dairy product? Is it a grain? Is it a meat product? Whatever it is, it will drop down for you to select. And then if it is a beverage, like in this case, is it a alcoholic or non-alcoholic? Is it a water-based flavored drink? So as you fill on, you click on the continue button. It takes you to the next page and it carries you on like that to the end. There are some things you need to note in the course of registering. Drugs. Actually, drugs are not MSME products. So if you are a pharmacist or you have drugs to register, even if they are herbal products, there's a route, there's a pathway, because drugs are on the exclusive list. There's a special pathway that is a little bit more stringent, which you need to comply with before you can register your drug products. One of such is that you need to know that the drug products in Napalm is classified based on WHO's ATC code for pharmaceutical products. ATC just means anatomical therapeutic chemical classification. It's one of the most robust classifications for drug products available probably in the whole world. And the link is there. We just clicked it there for you in case you need to get there. You need to understand the way drugs are classified in that pattern to be able to know how to navigate your way through Napalms. Then, if you also have drugs, especially for drugs, both local and imported drug products, we have to submit a dossier of that drug product. For those who are pharmacists among you, you will understand what a dossier means. A dossier is like a compendium that gives you a complete history of the drug product, where the raw materials are sourced, how the products are combined, and the bioequivalent, bioavailability studies, all the research that has been done on the product as comparing it with the innovator. All those things are in what you call the dossier. So you need to submit that for review before your application can progress. For MSME products, we have a special niche for MSME products. So if you are in MSME, it just pushes you to probably the simplest pathway for regulated products. Okay, thank you. For regulated products. And a number of products are covered in this category. The list is actually at our website. I think I've clicked the link. There are about 18 products. I've inserted the link. That is it. Further info on NAFDAC registered MSME products. You click on the link, it will take you there. It's about 18 categories of products. Finger foods, dry, high protein, dry fish, dry meat, grains, local oils, vegetable oils, simple cosmetics. All those products are covered in that list for MSMEs. They have their own pathway. The requirements are not as stringent as we have in drugs, even though they are also required conditions that you have to fulfill to be able to register your product. Now, when you initiate your registration, the Napalm page looks like this. This one we are seeing now is actually a drug product that the person was trying to register. You can see the name of the product name, Ayancopmentin. I just sat down and decided to register my product by my brand. You want to project my brand, and then you fill in all the information you want, and then you progress your application on it's about a 5-page process on the Napalm platform. So as you complete, you click next. Complete, you click next. Then there is this declaration on controlled substances. If your product has controlled substances, you have to declare what it is so that we'll be able to know whether you need a permit for it or we need to have some controls on the product in the process of the registration. Then you need to upload your documents. There's an application letter you need to upload. There's a certificate of analysis. There's a a lot of other things, the artwork, the label for the product, you need to send it in, and we need to view and audit, if they review your label to be sure that it complies with our standard minimum labeling requirements. A lot of people, somebody called me yesterday. I said, what does your product do? It's a herbal product. He said, it can handle diabetes, it can handle hypertension, it can handle. I said, and I was asking her, what about passing exam or WAEC? You know, if you take your drug, maybe you should be able to pass exam. There are some people that make such claims, and they make those claims on the labels. We need to review those labels and make sure that their claims are not misleading and they are not too hyperbolic and so on. And so those are the things we check out for in the course of reviewing the label. So you upload all those documents according to the template that's required. Some of them are required in PDF format, some are required in JPEG, and the size must not be more than 500 KB in size. Then once you finish uploading, you click next, then you come to the payment, you submit the form, the thing will now assess you based on the company type, the type of product, the number of pack sizes, a lot of other factors. It will now compute your product payment. The tariff is available, and we'll make it available. I think I have a link to the tariff. I've already inserted the link to the tariff. It's available on our website, and you can see it. So you can sit down in the convenience of your house, bring out your card, and then make payment. You see where I circle there, make payment. So this is the link to the NAFDAC tariff for MSMEs. So once you make payment, you will now be able to submit your application. You click on the terms and conditions, which you see declaration, certification, and then you can also click the form that you're submitting and then make a submission. Once you click it, you'll be able to print the form and view it like this. This is how your form looks like typically. And once you submit it, the system will get to work. It will push out your application to NAFDAC, relevant NAFDAC office based on where you are and based on the kind of category of product you're trying to register, and it will push it out for further processing. Automatically, the system will send you a mail that your application has been submitted. It will, at every progress on your application, the system will send you a mail updating you on the progress of your application. Now, this is the tracking page. This is the tracking page. So you can track, like in this case now you can see is that LOD. LOD means the liaison officer of the director. That's the hub, that's the first bus stop for all applications that come into NAFDAC. They come to the director's office. It is the director's office that reviews your documentation, reviews your product, and determines whether your product is good enough for processing or not. It will throw it out, and automatically it will send you a compliance directive. And then you'll be able to also see and know how to progress your application. Now, other things you can do is, like I told you before, update your company profile. You can change your management structure. You can change your company email. You can change your phone number. You can sack your quality assurance. Many people sack their quality assurance manager very frequently. Maybe the man got angry with you and he wants to take over your company from you and so on. So all those things are taken care of so that we can have a very standardized process on the platform. And then you can add representatives, you can increase your staff numbers, and then you can also view pending application forms. These view pending application forms, some people, they tell us, I have submitted my application since last year and nothing has been, meanwhile, they have actually not submitted. By the time you come to pending, you see the application is still there waiting for them. So we need to, click on that and come there regularly to see where the status of your application. Then also you can get compliant. When I call compliance directive, is a mail or a communication by NAFDAC to the client telling him one thing or the other that is still outstanding in respect of his application. Some corrections that need to be made, submissions that need to be submitted, and some other things that they need to do to be able to progress the application forward. And then, of course, this page shows you how to resolve compliance directives. So if we are going to send this presentation to you, you can study it and see how you can resolve the compliance directives when they are given to you. This is the invoice page. So you see the ones that you need to pay for and the ones that you have already paid for. And then this is the payment listing. You can print your receipt. So there's no case that I forgot my receipt. You can print it 1 million times. Bring your receipt, you print it, send it to them. Bring your receipt, you print it, send it to them. So nobody loses the receipt. And the receipt is something like what we see right below that page there, the receipt. All right. Import permit listing. Import permit listing, that is for products that are imported. If you are importing your products, then it will give you a permit to be able to bring in samples for laboratory analysis and for vetting. So we give you import permit so that the port will not give you problems at the points. And it's also here, import permit listing. And then delivery listing. We have tried to encourage, especially because of the global, the pandemic problem, we tell our clients, you don't need to come to NAFDAC except you have to come. You can also courier your samples or your documents and send it to us and upload the waybill here and we'll receive it. That means that even if you are not in the country, you can actually sit wherever you are and submit an application and send the documents or the samples to us by courier, and you just upload the evidence of the courier to us in this place. Then you can also print your certificate. I told you, once your product is approved, NAFDAC will send you an email that your product has been approved. You log in, come to print certificate and click on print. You can also ask NAFDAC to, there are two kinds of certificates we have. We have the e-certificate, and then we have the hard copy certificate. The hard copy certificate is also available for free because it's already been paid for. And you may choose to request for it, or you may choose not to request for it. If you request for it, we print it for you. It's signed by the DG NAFDAC. And the document itself is a very beautiful document with a lot of security features that cannot be easily forged. So that is available. You can print it and then put it on your office so that when NAFDAC officers come or whoever comes, they will see that document and they know that true, this product has been registered by NAFDAC. That's about all. Thank you. We are here to receive your questions, and we'll try to answer them as much as possible. Let's try to be very objective in asking our questions so that we too will be able to be in a position to answer the question. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anyankop and Mr. Declan. Awesome presentations, very clear, very lucid. I mean, step by step. And so at this point, we'll go ahead into the question and answer sessions. Like I said, we already have some questions that had been sent to us prior to now. We would start with those questions, and I would also go through the chat box, but I'm sure like everyone can obviously see there are a lot of comments in the chat session, so it's a bit hard to know which ones are questions. So if everyone would please stop posting other things in the chat for now, I'll just post only questions so that it's easier to sift through the questions and then we can move on from there. Okay. So the first question that I have here says that despite the ease of uploading documents to your website in order to register a document, there seems to be a huge delay in receiving reports from the lab to proceed with registration. This person says, I've been waiting for the lab results since February. That what is NAFDAC doing to be able to ensure that lab results are gotten quickly? So Mr. Declan or Mr. Jacob, over to you.
Okay. For those of us who are scientists, basic pure scientists, we know that laboratory analysis is not like when you carry food and taste in your mouth and say, the salt is too much. It requires, it's a scientific procedure. And for microbial analysis, for instance, if your product is not of the required quality, the basic requirement for the basic time that we can do, I'm a microbiologist, so I can say this, is about 2 weeks to carry out the microbial analysis for a product. We do total viable count, we do mold count, we do all those other antibiotics and so on. Now, once we do that basically, and your product does not have a problem, you can move the product and progress it. And we have several labs. We have mycotoxin lab, we have microbiology lab, you have this other one that evaluates the food, the product itself. If you say you have fruit juice inside your product, we test for the juice content, and so on. So the various labs carry on these processes. So it's not that they just take it to the lab and like you go to lab and do blood tests and they come out in 1 hour. It would have been nice if that were possible. But because we stand behind our laboratory analysis, we defend it. Our lab tests are challenged globally, even at the WHO or anywhere internationally. And our lab results should always compare with anyone else anybody sends. So if it is just if your product is a good product, we don't have a problem. The only problem is if your product is a bad product. Once we test and see that we have high pathogenic bacteria, if we have E. coli, for instance, that raises so many flags. One lab analyst will have to take it to another lab analyst, and all those things consume a lot of time. That's one. Two, we have the challenge of the volume of applications. We have just 2 labs in Lagos, for instance. And these 2 labs, we handle water, we handle imported food, we handle herbal, we handle local food. All the chin-chins and all the garis of this world go to the same lab. We are, as a government agency, we have our own constraints. So we do some prioritization. We are the consulting lab for the customs. If customs arrest a product, we are the one that will test it and be sure it is good. So we have quite a whole lot of load. So there's some component of risk analysis that gets involved in the course of running tests on products. What we will advise for such clients is, if you see that your product is unnecessarily being delayed, you can write to the small business support desk and they will follow up with it and find out, maybe it is possible for them to, find out whether there's anything that could be done to expedite the process. It's not automatic because there's so much pressure on the laboratories that we have. And those are the things that actually affect the laboratory analysis. We are not in the lab. We are regulators in the registration section. Over to my colleague.
Thank you, Mr. Yanko. To add to what the person is asking, you know that last year was a COVID period.
Yes.
Most of these chemicals are obtained abroad. The Chinas and Indias of this world are where most of these things come from, even Europe's. So we also are part of the global community that's affected by this. We're trying to come off all this. I can assure the person that wrote that within a short while, by the time the countries in the whole world open up, more chemicals for all this analysis will come, and there will be a quick dispensation of most of all these lab reports, despite all our constraints. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So there's a question. Well, I've seen a couple of questions, but let me summarize it this way. So ideally, from start to finish, what would you say is an expected time, a minimum time from start to finish that it should take to complete a registration process? And then how much? So a range of time that it normally should take to complete a registration, and at what cost?
Okay, thank you very much. We normally tell our clients that it is between 90 to 150 working days. Working days. That's Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday. That's the normal rate. If there are no issues, because our problem is that documentation is very, very perfect. We should not see any flaw. Then the facility should be very okay. And then the products should meet up to our requirements. All those are specifications. If there are no issues between 90 and 120, 150 working days, you should have your product registered. Our problem is that when we issue a compliance directive to a client on a particular issue, it may take the client like 8 weeks to comply to these things. And upon the end of that 8th week, by the time the person brings or responds to the compliance, he will want you to immediately give him a number that he has responded, forgetting that there are processes that should go on between that time that he didn't comply. So the clock stops at the time we send you a compliance. If you respond very, very urgently, it will start ticking immediately. But if you delay and take your time to respond, you should not count it against us that we are delaying your process. So it is normally when everything is okay that we give you between 90 days to 120 working days. So that is about the time required. So I think you asked another question. So about the tariff, it all depends on the kind of products you're registering, because I think that most of our audience today are on the MSME group category. Am I right?
Yes.
So for food, the micro food scale, the application form, of course, is 2,500 naira. The registration fee is 22,000. The inspection fee is 11,000. The total amount for micro food scale is 35,500, as it is now. Okay. Then for cosmetics, application form is 2,005. Registration fee is 22,000 naira, and then inspection fee is 15,000 naira. The total amount is 39,500. Then for small scale food, application form is 2,005. Registration fee is 30,000. Inspection fee is 30,000. Total is 62,500. And for small scale cosmetics, application form is 2,005. Registration fee is 66,000, and inspection fee is 30,000. Total amount is 98,500. So it all depends on the kind of product and the kind of scale that you are. These scales are defined when you get to our Lagos office to fill the form. They will tell you whether it is micro, whether it is small, or whether it is medium. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. So I've seen a couple of questions also talking about delay with inspection. So people who have gotten to the point of expecting NAFDAC officials to come and inspect their facilities, but it's taking longer than usual. What could be the reason, and then what's the way out?
Well, the most important thing is to engage the inspectors, because like I said before, the inspecting directorates, technical directors that are involved with registration are the inspecting directorates. Whenever you have any delay or any hitch in registration, feel free to walk up to the people that are involved. Don't send somebody, don't go through a consultant that may not be telling you the truth. It's not like he's not using consultants, but when people are telling you things that may not sound to be true, feel free to come to Navdark. We are people friendly. In fact, we are customer. Our new slogan is customer focused, agency friendly. We are friendly. Come and ask questions directly to us. Why is my factory not being inspected? The Lagos State Office is open and free. And they are dedicated to that duty. Just go there, tell them you want to see the director, that for about 1 month, 2 months, or thereabout, they've not come to inspect your facility. Please come and do that, so that we can help you to help ourselves. So that's my answer to that.
Thank you very much, sir. So the next question says that I started a small snack business, initially just for friends and family, but it got bigger. Now I sell to colleagues and interested parties. The business is still small. Do I need a NAFDAC registration at this point, and why?
Yes, you do. That small snack business, are you selling it like the way they sell Gary in a Igbo market, that is not packaged, that is not labeled, that there's no value added to it? You know, one thing I want us to know is that immediately you package a product and label it, and add value to that product, no matter what it is, you are inviting NAFDAC to look at that product to know whether actually the product is what you say it is. You know that all our wives, for those of us that are married, have soup cooked in our house. The day you package your wife's soup and put a label on it and tell us that it is sweeter than that one that my wife cooks at home in the house, and you want to commercialize it, of course, you are inviting us to come and look at it. So that's more snack business. It's a registration. As long as you package and tell us that it is going beyond the normal Gary that we see, like in Igbo market, or the normal Iru that they package, nobody, I don't have any issues with them, Igbo. We won't check, except if we suspect that there's a public health concern about the food. That's when we check them. But as per whether or not they require registration, yes, you require registration. That's the reason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So someone is asking that if the products I produce are locally made, but the raw material used in producing them is imported, are there special procedures I need to go through during registration? So the products are locally made, but the raw materials used are imported. Is there a special procedure to register this kind of products?
Yes, there's a procedure. The applicant has to obtain permits to bring in the raw materials for the product. And if the product is locally made, he has to have a facility in Nigeria which can be inspected. Once they inspect the facility and see the capacity, he will apply for import permits to bring in the raw material. Either they are chemical raw materials or food raw materials or cosmetics raw material or APIs, that is active pharmaceutical ingredients, he will be given the permits. And if it is a controlled substance, all the more very stringent. He will have to obtain permit to import and permit to clear. And then he will also need documentation for consumption, before such products are approved. So all those procedures and approvals are in place to facilitate the manufacture of such products.
Okay, thank you, sir. So the next question here says, after registering my products with NAFDAC, can I change the product label or the package size? If I need to do that, what is the process? Do I have to start all over again? So after registration, gotten NAFDAC number, but wants to change the product label and the package size.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure if the person that asked this question listened to the presentation by Mr. Yanko, he would have been able to get an answer. Because in the Napalm's process, there's a part of that Napalm's called variation. Change of pack design, change of logo, change of anything on a product or composition of a product falls under the category of what we call variation. So it is possible, it is doable, we do it. You have to inform us, you have to tell us the variation so that we can also have it in our database that this product registered as such is now looking like this. And it is to protect you, because if somebody should start faking the product using your old label, because the old label may have attracted some attention, and maybe if it's a very good product, the product would have been accepted by people. So some mischief makers may ride on your goodwill to start selling the product as your old label or under your old label. So if you tell us and do a variation, and you now find out that somebody somewhere is trying to fake that product, you meet us, we have an enforcement investigation at the Directorate that will go after the person. So you have to tell us about every variation, about every product that we give our number, because that another registration number is very sacrosanct. We will help you to protect it. So you have to. Thank you.
Thank you. So someone is asking that, can the products be banned after approval? And then what are the possible things that can happen for a product to be banned after NAFDAC has given approval?
Definitely, we've stopped a lot of products after approval. When we find out that what you submitted, there are a lot of reasons why we have to ban products after approval. One is when the product has a public health issue. For instance, if we are to be a drug product, for instance, and we find out that there's a public health concern on that very product that is ravaging the whole world. We normally get alerts of some products that are registered globally that started giving issues to some people. Some drug products, some food products, and other products. that may have a public health issue, of course, we align with the global community to ban such products. Secondly, if a product starts is being imported in the way it was not registered, some people, yes, mischievously produce a particular product, get a particular number, and when they want to bring in the product, there's a directorate called Pharmacovigilance and Post-Marketing Surveillance that go about to check our products randomly, registered or unregistered. You find out that somehow the person is compromising the quality of the product we registered. Normally, we get alerts about that. We definitely will ban the product. When we do our investigation and find out that it's true and that the person that registered the products has a connivance with that kind of activity, we will ban the product. There are also some other products that you find out that the product is no more what is expected to be used in the society. For instance, there are some drug products or even food products that people say that when you take them, it causes a particular kind of problem. Definitely, if it falls in the line of that kind of product, we'll tell people no, because we are talking about public health. It's not about the individual now. So there are a lot of reasons why we can, ban a product or withdraw a product license. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question is asking about, so for food and drug manufacturers, cosmetic products, that are there ingredients, are there colors that NAFDAC does not permit in food processing? And then is there somewhere that someone can get a list of what those products are that are not allowed in food processing?
Yes. For food products, there are some permitted colors that we allow in the agency. The person can Google online or can come to our office. We give them a list. But very importantly, the permitted colors we use now includes the trazine, the caramels, the Ponsu 4R, the Allura red, and brilliant blue. If you come to our office, the person can feel free to come to our office, visit us. We'll give the person a list of the products that they are quite many.
Colors.
These ones
not
are
just colors,
not just colors, additives, food additives, food colors, and so on for food and drug products that are allowed and not allowed. We have a list of them. But the ones I can remember very easily are the tetrazines, the caramels, the Ponsu 4R, the Allura red, the brilliant red. They are part of the ones that we allow. So the ones that we don't allow, you can always have them. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. So someone is asking that they have various products under the same organization, produced in the same facility, and they're asking why can't they have one NAFDAC number for all products? Why do you need different NAFDAC numbers for different products?
That's a very logical question. It's like a mother bore triplets, and you say, let's call all of them Tai. All of them should be Taiwo because they were born on the same day and they were born at the same time and they are all the same children from the same mother. NAFDAC registration is like children. We register products, not facilities. We register products. So if somebody has a product, he has a product, register that product. And we can give the same number to one product, different pack sizes, or one product, different packagings. If you look at the risk profile, and it doesn't really impact on it. But once there are changes in the products, either in composition, or in the packaging material, or in the size, maybe he was doing 1 liter before, he now has 500 mils. We may look at it categorically and decide, okay, there is no risk issue attached. They give you the same number. We may look at it again and say, well, doing any alteration of the product may change the integrity or the quality of the product and give it a different number. The number identifies that product and follows it all through its lifespan. And so it's always good to have a unique identifier for each of the products. So that's why we cannot give one NAFDAC number to all the products from a facility.
Okay, then someone is asking about are there regulations for packaging? Does NAFDAC look at packaging, and what are the regulations around packaging. I think this will apply majorly to food products.
We have a whole regulation on packaging. It's available online. NAFDAC regulation on packaging and labeling for food, for drugs, for cosmetics, medical devices, every kind of product. We have regulations for the packaging of such products. So the person will do well to visit our website and download the guidelines and the regulations.
Okay, so one of the questions that I've seen a couple of people also ask is, so we listened to the presentation and you talked about having a quality assurance manager, having this manager and that manager, and they're asking, we're small businesses, we're medium businesses. Do we actually need one person to fill each of these positions, or can you merge? Can the owner of the business serve as the quality assurance manager and serve as the production manager? Again, because it's a small business, and if that must happen, what's the minimum qualification that is required for holders of these positions?
For small businesses, we have basic minimum requirements. The truth is, you can call yourself a small business, and some of these are small businesses export their products to Europe and to America. When NAFDAC gives a certification on a product, we are saying we stood behind that product when it was being made, and we can certify that that product taken anywhere in the world will do what it is meant to do. On the basis of that, we have basic minimum requirements. Whoever is managing production must have a basic knowledge of sciences. If it's a drug, you must have a pharmacist. There's no way you can run a drug product without needing a pharmacist, because it's a specialty that requires the expertise of a pharmacist. If you're running products that have to do with chemicals, cosmetics, and so on, you need somebody that has the basic science about chemistry, microbiology, chemistry, and so on. So those are the basic requirements, and we cannot compromise that. If you don't want your product to hit big market, you don't want many people to patronize you, then of course you can sit back and do it within your house and share it among your church members. But if you are expecting people of different compositions, different types to get involved in your products, then of course you need to build in at least the minimum standards. Having said that, we know that also that our Lagos State office also has been able to scale down some of those requirements to levels that are convenient for MSMEs. And so when you visit our Lagos State office, they will tell you the ones that are required and the ones that are not. But basically, that is the standard. In addition, my colleague will speak to that.
Secondly, I don't want an MSME to remain an MSME forever. I think that whoever is saying that he's a small business is aspiring to become a big business person. The reason why we've narrowed down and reduced some of these very stringent requirements is because we want to grow the MSME to become a mega. Nothing stops from somebody who was an MSME before to become a Johnson & Johnson of this world and a Coca-Cola of this world tomorrow. So always try to prepare yourself in such a way that you can grow bigger, but at least start with the basics, start with the minimum requirements, and then look forward to cascading it up. We don't want MSME to remain MSME forever. That's just my addition to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So someone is asking that, is there a limit to the number of products that an MSME can register as one organization?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. If you are small, we will treat you as a small person. If you are an MSME and you bring a list of 15 products to register, you're no more small. You're no more even medium. You are mega. In fact, I don't think that Coca-Cola has up to 15 products in their till that is global. So if you're small, we expect you not to have more than 3 products, 3 items that you want to register. So if there's anything higher than 3, if it's getting to 5, we'll call you a medium. But when you have up to 10 products you want to register at the same time, then you're no more small or medium. You're a very big organization. And you have to justify it by the facility, by the documentation, and by the product itself. So there's a minimum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so someone is asking if a particular company is ISO certified, maybe in China or any part of the world, but not in Nigeria, would they still require the GMP certification? They are certified outside the country, but not in Nigeria. So it's asking if they'll still require the GMP certification.
That ISO is an added advantage. But our own regulation stipulates that we have to visit the facility. A lot of, if you go to the market, you see a lot of products that they say they are ISO 9000 and whatever certified. By the time you take the product home, you discover it's just fake. So we go there to verify. By law, we are required to inspect every facility. And if the company is ISO certified and we can verify that, fine, it's an advantage. It will help expedite the approval process for such products.
Okay. So someone else is asking that, can registered brands have an online NAFDAC verified sign? So registered brands have an online NAFDAC verified sign.
I don't seem to understand
that question exactly.
Okay, I believe the person is asking maybe a sign from NAFDAC that says this is verified. That is not necessarily a physical certificate.
No.
Maybe something to display.
Every product that is registered by NAFDAC goes with the NAFDAC number. That NAFDAC number is our own token of saying we are aware of this product. We have it in our records. We follow through the process, and we certify that the product is what it says it is. So any product that has a NAFDAC number is our own way of certifying. Again, we are also aware that a lot of people fake our NAFDAC number. We have codes, and we have ways and means to identify such things. So if you see a product and you're suspecting the NAFDAC number, you can always get back to us. We are building our database, and we've been online, but we have to take it down for a while to be able to update and upgrade. Once we are that, you can actually go online and punch in a NAFDAC number, and you'll be able to confirm that this product is true NAFDAC certified or it's not NAFDAC certified.
Okay, thank you. This person is asking that NAFDAC insists on the use of chemical preservatives on some natural foods and drinks. Why?
We don't insist. We don't insist. We actually encourage not to. If it's possible, you can preserve without it going to chemicals. Fine. But where you have to use chemicals, the chemicals have to be friendly.
Yes, permitted chemicals. Permitted preservative.
And in the right quantities. Because we are a scientific organization, we ensure that whatever you put out there, we can defend it. If we have maximum residue limits, we have minimum requirements for chemicals in micrograms and sometimes in far less units that are supposed to be in a gram of a product. And we run tests to confirm all these things before a product is registered.
Secondly, too, there are some products that are self-preserving that you don't need to add a preservative. Things like red palm oil. There's nothing used to preserve red palm oil. It's self-preserving. It can stay from year to year for some time without getting damaged. Same thing applies to honey. That has quite some high percentage of things that can preserve the products. So if it's for those products.
There's some noise at the background.
Somebody's not muted.
Thank you.
So for those products that are self-preserving, we want you to, but you can prove that you can keep your product for so long a time that you declared as a share value product without a preservative. Of course, we have a way of verifying it. Verify through our laboratory to be sure that your claim is substantiated. Thank you.
There are hundreds of products that don't need preservative. Water, for instance. Wine, for instance, that has alcohol
content of
palm oil, like Morgan has said. Most of those products don't need any preservative. There are some drinks that are self-preserving because of the nature, the way they are. They don't get bad. Salt, for instance, you don't need to preserve, add any preservative. They are self-preserving. So I don't know where the person got that impression that NAFDAC is
Okay, so I also wanted to ask this question. So if one gets a NAFDAC registration, gets the approval and has the NAFDAC number, and you want to export those products, will the person be required to register in those countries, or does NAFDAC registration, does it apply outside the country?
Yes, NAFDAC registration applies outside the country. But before you export your product, you need to come to us. We have a division which we call export unit in the port inspection that reviews products and issues certificates for export. We have export approvals. You have certificate of manufacture and free sale. We have COPP, certificate of pharmaceutical product, and so on. All these NAFDAC licenses are the documentation required in international commerce. And so you can not just carry your mushroom or your gari, put it in that box and then export it and say, well, my product has NAFDAC number. It also has to go with additional approval from NAFDAC saying that NAFDAC viewed this product and we're happy with the quality before it is exported.
And secondly, it's also to help the person that is exporting the product, because most people have had to export their products without our looking at the products. And most of those products have been returned back to the country because of high microbial content. So the quality of the products is what is also assured by the person visiting those offices, wherein we give you our certificate, like he says, certificate of manufacture and free sale, and an export certificate to assure of the quality of the product, because it's a product that is moving in international commerce. So when the thing gets to that country, it even helps to authenticate the fact that what we are doing here is quite correct, that we don't have any issue with the quality of the product. So that's
okay. Thank you very much. There are so many questions. I'm sure we can't take every one of them, but we'll see how far we can go. I'll put two questions together. Someone is asking that, is it true that you need to trademark your product name before you can get a NAFDAC registration? And someone is also asking, I produce these things, but I'm producing in my kitchen. Is my kitchen enough facility for NAFDAC to be able to give me a NAFDAC number? So two questions rolled into one. Over to you.
Okay, yes. We don't make trademark compulsory. It is not compulsory. If you want to sell your product as Gary, you sell it as Gary, nobody will ask you for trademark. But the day you want to put in a special kind of name to identify your own Gary, which is better for you, you will require a trademark. So you must not get us a trademark if the product does not have a unique name you want to call it. And secondly, for the person that is producing in his kitchen, we have a kitchen cottage scale that we allow for micro and small enterprises. If the person goes to our Lagos State office, they will give you the requirements for that kind of thing. So you don't have any, you are covered if you're producing your kitchen. You'll have to come and look at what you call your kitchen and whether it meets those specifications for us, requirements for us to approve your product as a kitchen scale product.
Oh, okay, but someone is saying, in addition to that, there's also a comment here that is saying that that they are usually not informed about the need to furnish the space, that businesses are expected to furnish with aluminum or steel shelves and work tables, that when you have a wooden shelf, they are usually not permitted. What's your comment about that, sir?
Yes, because there are specifications for every product. Microorganisms are shedded off things that are not like that. You see, remember, this product is not being made for only you to consume. You are making the product for it to reach the entire length and breadth of everywhere that it goes to. Like I said before, we are not expecting an MSME to remain an MSME forever. We need to prepare you because what you're doing is very good. I want you to go beyond just seeing yourself as somebody who is supplying the local community. So we expect some standards, minimum standards that you have to meet up to, because you're going to make money from the product. You're not just using it, and even if you're using it as charity, it has to be qualitative enough for you to consume. So those are the minimum requirements. You don't just do a wooden table and use it to start churning out products that people will eat or that people will consume or that people will use. I cannot guarantee the quality. So those are the minimum, the basics. For any gain, there is a little pain, and that little pain are those minimum requirements. Thank you.
Thank you. So I also roll these questions together. Someone is asking that is there a need, and what's the process of packaging, of registering honey? The honey is sourced from another country, but it's packaged here in Nigeria. What's the process to registering that? Is there a need? And then someone is also asking that his product, which is Gary, is sourced from Ijebu, but he packages in Lagos. Does the facility in Ijebu and in Lagos need to both be inspected?
Well, for the person sourcing honey from outside Nigeria, you have to apply for a permit to bring in the product as your raw material from outside Nigeria. And in that circumstance, we must have to inspect the facility where the honey is going to come from outside Nigeria. And I wouldn't see why honey is even under import prohibition. I don't think the person can bring in honey. I'm not sure. The person should check and be sure that something like honey is not under import prohibition. Because if it's under import prohibition, it's not even within the powers of NAFDAC to allow that to come into the shores of Nigeria. That's number one. Then number two is that when you now, even if it is not, if you're bringing it from outside Nigeria, it is a part of the things that NAFDAC regulates. You're going to get a permit, like my colleague said here. You're going to get a permit for you to bring in the product. I have to pass it through NAFDAC as a raw material, which you're not going to use as starting material for the packaging of your product in the local facility. So there are three inspections where the thing is coming from outside Nigeria, because we need to know the GMP requirements of the product. And then the facility where you're making it, to be sure that everything is in line with the good manufacturing practice or good handling practice of that honey in our country here in Nigeria. Then for the person sourcing it from Ijebu, of course, you're sourcing it from somewhere. And when you bring it to a facility here. What we are looking at is not where you source it from, but from the time you bring it to your facility in your place in Lagos, that raw material becomes, that Gary in bulk becomes the raw material. And we are looking at how the raw material is. We may not need, because you may go to the different village vendors that are making Gary, and you bring them together and then bring them in bulk to a place called the raw material packaging room. And then there are some things you should do to be sure that you pick it, you clean it up before you now go into the packaging, weighing and packaging and other things. So we don't need to go and visit different markets where you source your product in Ijebu. What we're interested in is where you are packaging it, the process of where it entered into the facility where you package it, up to the time that you package it, label it, and then send it out to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the next set of questions that I'm grouping together are talking about classification. So there's someone who is saying coconut oil is used both as a cosmetic and is also edible. So how would you classify that? Is it food or is it cosmetic? Someone is also talking about there's some food that they are food, but they are also drugs. I mean, you can such as mineral water, supplements, they are food, but they are also drug. So how do you clearly classify those kind of products?
Well, it is the applicant that knows what he wants to do with his product. For instance, if you bring coconut oil as food, we'll classify it as food. We have minimum requirements for coconut oil as food. We also have requirements for coconut oil as cosmetics. So, for instance, the microbial load required for coconut oil as food cannot be the same as the one required coconut oil as cosmetics. Even in food, for instance, we have cornstarch. Let me give you an illustration. Cornstarch coming as pharmaceutical grade is different from cornstarch coming as food grade. The requirements are totally different. So it all applies. There are some products that are either food or drug. Whatever you stipulate for it is the direction we channel it. We don't produce products, we are just regulators. So if you claim that this my product is food grade, we use food grade compendia for it. If it is drug, pharmaceutical grade, or is cosmetics grade, we also use cosmetic grade for it. You know, everything we are a science-based organization, so we have all the requirements, technical requirements to handle the regulation of such products.
Then essentially, you can register the product as both food and cosmetics? No,
because they are different.
because they are different.
And you have
Looks like you have so many questions. I'm sure
so many questions.
we cannot possibly
Can't take everything. Definitely.
Yes. You have my number and my colleague's number online.
Yes.
On WhatsApp. So even hereafter, we don't need to ambush ourselves. You can always send those questions in. As they come in, we look at them and then we respond to them accordingly. So there will be no problem.
All right, sir.
The ones we can do for now, we have to do so that we can move ahead.
Yes. So we tend to be done. Can you spare us till 11:45? Is that fine? That's all right. Thank you very much, sir.
I'll spare you till noon, sir, if you like.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, sir. So another question is, what's the regulation for production facility for juice and spices? So when you want to inspect the production facility for someone making juice, for someone making spices, what are the things that NAFDAC would be watching out for?
Well, we encourage the person to visit our Lagos State office. That will be spelled out clear terms for the person. This is within Lagos.
And there are some products also that even Lagos State office will not handle. They will refer you to our headquarters. That's the food safety or the R&R or the drug evaluation and research directorate. Once they see is the risk categorization that determines whether a product is food or is for Lagos State office or is for the full registration status. So let the person visit our office in Lagos and then they will be able to direct him.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. This next question, it says that, can I sell my products? So the person's product is already registered, but the person wants to sell the product to someone else who wants to repackage it in our own label. So someone is making a product, the person has registered the product, but someone else wants to buy from the person and repackage using our own label. Does the person who is repackaging need to register again?
Yes, because it's a different product.
That's exactly what I call contract manufacturing.
It's a different product. The product is now different.
I call it contract manufacturing. It will be better for the person not to even buy. But it's just like the person using his own name now to market a product manufactured in a facility that we have approved. Maybe the person is having a constraint of not being able to build a facility on his own. The person doesn't even need to start buying an already registered one. Then what the person needs to do is to bring his own raw materials and make the same product according to the same certification like that one that is registered. So it is a different product because the person is going to call it his own name. We register per product. We don't register per facility. That's exactly what my colleague said before.
Okay, thank you. So someone is asking that the same product is being offered in 3 different sizes: 200 grams, 500 grams, 1 kilogram. Do they need to be registered as 3 different products?
Exactly. There's what we call in the variation that Mr. Yankov talked about in his presentation. That's part of variation. We call it pack size extension. It's not just one pack size. There are 3 pack sizes: 200 gram, kilogram or 200 gram, 500 gram or whatever pack size it is. What the person is trying to do is to catch different market groups, because not everybody that will have money to buy the 500 gram, for instance, or the 200 gram, for instance. So it all depends on how much you have. The person wants to catch different people. So the extensions we register what we call pack size extensions. We give them their unique identification so that we know that for you have 3 or 4 or 5 pack sizes for all your products. And it also helps us to also regulate the sale of the product. In case somebody that's mischievous goes to make a different pack size from that one that we registered for you, we'll go after the person. It is you that will still come and tell us, please, these are the only pack sizes I have in the market. I don't know how this one came to be. So we can help you also track the person that's trying to make your product. So you need to register each of the pack sizes that you are trying to market to people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Someone is asking that how many product samples do you need to submit? when you are submitting your product for inspection. Yes, and then someone is also saying that since it's allowed to do a courier, are you does that mean that there is no need for physical inspection? So two questions put into one.
Well, the inspecting directorates have what we call a sampling schedule for submission of samples. And it's upon those sampling schedules that they will tell you the exact quantity of products that you need to submit for you to register your product. Because those samples are meant for laboratory analysis and retention sample for approval meeting. So they will have they have a sampling schedule that's approved by NAFDAC for you to use, for them to use to tell you that these are the quantity of products that you should send to us. And then because you courier them, it doesn't mean we don't have to come for physical inspection. We still will come for inspection for every product. It's just that since this issue of COVID-19 came up, we do remote kind of inspection, either online or we'll use documentation review. But for products that are manufactured locally, we still go on inspection to inspect those facilities, whether you courier the products or not.
Okay, thank you. So someone else is asking that he imports his packaging materials. Does he need a NAFDAC approval or NAFDAC registration for those imported packaging materials?
He needs NAFDAC. NAFDAC will inspect the product where it is imported from at the port. He needs a permit to bring in packaging material. I think he pays a token of 5,000 per container or 20 feet for inspection. We need to inspect the packaging material along with the customs. So for us, that's, and then one of the requirements for permit to bring in the packaging material is that he must have a product that is registered in locally that the packaging material is meant for. So you can't just bring in packaging material and sell it to somebody else to be using for his products. That's the way it is.
Secondly, over the years, we found out that people use those packaging materials that they did request for to make fake products. Somebody that is about, for instance, making a capsule, fake capsule shell, would have permission. If he goes to bring in capsule shells, for instance, obviously the person has a clandestine move if you don't have a facility where you're making the product. So you must apply for it, and we must give you approval to bring it in. And you must have a facility and must have an application, like my colleague said, to show that you're actually making the product that you want to bring in the packaging material.
Okay, so there's someone saying that a lot of reference has been made to Lagos office, but there are people on the call who say that they are not in Lagos. Are there what options do those kind of people have?
Yes, I said before that this Lagos office is replicated in all the 30 states of the Federation and Abuja. This thing that we're talking about, Lagos office, if you go to your state office where you are, NAFDAC is present there and can perform the same activity we're talking about in Lagos. So feel free to walk into any of all those 36 states, and those are NFCT. Go to NAFDAC office and tell them that you are an MSME person. That's why I talked about decentralization of some categories of products. Those products that we talked about, the meat and meat products that are dried, fish and products, all those dried finger products, chin-chin, the gari, the sharp, all those products that has been decentralized can easily be started and finished at the state level. Just like Lagos was created because Lagos is also one of the state offices that we have to cater for. So it was actually meant for the states that are not even within Lagos, that do not have access directly to the registration, the headquarters of registration activities in the country. So Lagos office and all the 36 states perform this kind of operation. Thank you.
Okay, so are you required to go to the office where your business is located, or you can, even though my business is located in Akwa Ibom, if I'm opportune to be in Lagos, can I register it in Lagos, or I have to register it in Akwa Ibom?
If your business is in Akwa Ibom, the facility, the location where the facility is mandated to handle the registration of that product, because they will need to come and inspect the facility and give us a report. We in Lagos are just coordinating centrally to tidy up or perfect the registration in some cases. for all MSME products, they are approved even within the zone. We have, apart from the state offices, we also have zonal offices which are headed by directors. And we carry out approval meetings at those zones. So for instance, somebody's product is in Akwa Ibom, the product may not even come to Lagos. It will be approved within that zone, and it will be issued certificates from the zone.
Okay. So you've spoken about this during your presentation, but the person is relating an experience that I think you need to speak to. So he says that he visited the Oshodi office and he was told that he must have a 2 standard room for which has to be partitioned and then pay 200,000 naira before he can get a NAFDAC number. He has not said what the business is exactly, but he said that they mentioned that he needs to do oil analysis and he needs to get a trademark, that all of that is needed and he needs to pay 200,000 naira. He has not told us what kind of business it is exactly.
Well, we need to know specifically who is talking and what he's talking about. We can't say no, and yet we cannot say yes. We have given you our tariffs for our products that are registered under MSMEs, and none of them is up to 200,000. But some of the charges for instance, if you get a consultant to register your product for you, of course, he will charge you for the service he's rendering. There are some requirements that we don't control. For instance, if you brand your product, you have to give us a trademark. And such trademark documents don't arise from NAFDAC. You will have to go and source it, and it will cost you money. You can't build that off on NAFDAC because NAFDAC did not collect money from you. If, for instance, you need a food handler's test or you need a CAC registration, all those documentations required by NAFDAC, TIN number, for instance, required by NAFDAC, and not, you don't pay to NAFDAC to get that. You get those things first and then come to us. If you hire a consultant to do those things for you and he puts those bills for you, you don't put it back on NAFDAC and say NAFDAC charged you that. Basically, if you come to NAFDAC directly, like my colleague has been saying, we'll give you guidelines and we'll give you the specific tariffs for each of the services we charge, and you pay to government. We don't collect cash from anybody. You pay through remitter to government, and then we give you the service that you are requested for. So
okay. Yes. So someone else is asking about the qualifications that we talked about earlier, that what if the business owner is experienced, is skilled to be able to do quality assurance, is skilled to be able to be the production manager? Can he double as that?
You can't be a production manager, be a quality assurance, be managing director, be marketing manager at the same time. It doesn't work like, for regulatory purposes, we don't work like that. Some of us have been privileged to work in industry, and we know there's always this dichotomy between quality assurance and production. The production is supposed to be, quality assurance is supposed to be a check on the excesses of production. So we can't allow one and the same person to run those things, except if your company is like a kitchen company, or you are maybe some aspects of micro. Well, we can allow you to run some. Let the person go to our state offices or Lagos state office. They will guide him on all those requirements.
Okay. I think it will take about 3 more questions so that we can round up. There's just too many. There are too many questions. Someone says that, what's your take on extemporaneous guideline from NAFDAC, and which products qualify for this? I hope you extemporaneous. I hope you.
Well, the person is talking about pharmaceutical products, extemporaneous pharmaceutical preparations.
Okay. Yes.
Pharmaceutical preparations are not under MSME. They are not under micro, small, and medium enterprises. They are not, because there are some very strict and stringent qualities that you have to have before we start granting you an extemporaneous approval. For instance, you want to make acetic salicylic acid extemporaneously that you can give to people, or you want to make a light kaolin and morphine mixture that we made in school in those days. We don't put up extemporaneous this thing for pharmaceuticals as a kitchen scale or as an MSME scale. Of course, there are some things that you still have to regulate here. Some products like the methylated spirit, the USOL solution, that the chlorinated line solution, and other things, we don't allow them under MSME. It has to be under something that's higher than MSME. You know, so extemporaneous products or preparations of pharmaceutical origin are not under the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Two questions rolled into one. Someone is asking that he packages Zobo leaves and exports them. Is he required to go through a registration for that? And someone is also saying that he applied for registration of his Zobo powdered mix. But when the certificate came out, he was given a certificate of Zobo juice. What does he need to do? Because he's been complaining and they say they keep working on it, that they're still working on it.
And so write to NAFDAC, if he went online to register, write to info@napalm.org. Send an email. If it was done locally, write a letter to the director of the Directorate, maybe Food Registration and Regulatory Affairs or Drug Evaluation and Research. Write and make your complaint official so that we can progress from there.
Okay. Someone says that, please, is there any need for the inspection of a manufacturer's facility in exported products, which is wine, already that has an FDA approval in the US?
Yes. Even the FDA wants us to inspect facilities and give certification before such products can get to them. So
Okay.
Yes. Every product that is exported, we have an export desk. They visit facilities to make sure that they meet basic minimum requirements before they can issue export certificate and export approval.
All right, thank you. We'll take this final question. If you have any more questions after this, you can send us an email at impact@faithfoundation.org, impact@faithfoundation.org, and we will take those questions, get answers to them as much as possible, and then we would send them to people who have registered. There is a link that my colleague has posted. Please post that link again. If you to put your email address, and we'll be able to share with you the presentation and also answers from the question. Someone says that, what is the position of incubation centers in NAFDAC registration? I was told at an incubation center that I would need to pay $250,000 for NAFDAC number and certification.
Well, at our level, we cannot, I don't know whether we can speak to that. What we know is that NAFDAC allows clusters for some categories of product, cosmetics, basic finger food, MSME products. NAFDAC, there are a lot of products that have been registered at the incubation centers like TIC in Pennsylvania at Agege here. And we do not know the arrangement they have there. I do not know what business agreements that are in place, but we know that when products come from TIC, we also send our people to go look at those places and be sure the products are good, and we give them some form of certification from such products. But in terms of the fees and all that, I do not know too much about that.
Well, to add to that too, incubation centers, I think, are like a consulting center, because if the person goes to incubation center to ask for product registration, obviously maybe the person doesn't have a trademark, the facility, the person does not have a trademark, the person does not have a logo or design or whatever, and all these things are paid for. Like my colleague said, the trademark that you get from Federal Ministry of Trade, we don't generate it from NAFDAC. It's another agency. The Corporate Affairs Commission requirement, you don't get it from NAFDAC, and all the other services. So quite as I'm not justifying whatever amount they are charging, the person should know that if he doesn't want to pay the incubation center, he should come straight to NAFDAC, produce those documents himself, go to trademark, get the documents, go to get your CSC certificate, go to get all the other things that maybe the incubation center will help you to package, and come straight to us and pay that minimal fee we talked about. Anything charged outside all those that I read out is not within the scope of NAFDAC. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. you will permit me, I'll take this last question, and with that question, I want you to give your final comments today. Someone is saying that he packages honey and coconut, but he's not the producer. He imports from another state, from a farm, kind of. So he doesn't have a company, he doesn't have a factory. I mean, so how would NAFDAC be able to license him since he doesn't have a company and he doesn't have a factory? And someone is also asking that for pap production, what category is pap production, and does that also require NAFDAC to check the facility? So we'll take those questions and then your final comments.
Okay. Honey sourcing from other states, for instance, is possible. And is because, of course, most of the products we make in Lagos, we source the raw material from outside. But what we always want to guarantee, and if you walk into any NAFDAC office, they will tell you, where did you source it from? Did you buy it in the open market? If you have a source that we can trace, in case of anything, honey is a very high risk product, basically, because a lot of people just mix sugar with caramel and then put a little honey and then they sell, you know. So if it comes to such a level, we should be able to trace the product. If you take it to our lab, we'll detect the sugar that's inside, and we should be able to trace it to where it came from. And the manufacturer should be able to, or the packager, whoever, should be able to tell us, I got it from location A, and we can go to location A, and we can stop the production from that. You can stop sourcing from that place if it is not good, of the good requisite quality. I mean, all these things are for the purpose of tracing in case of need for recall, or in case of need for the sanctions or litigations and so on. So that's why, if you are sourcing from a product, be sure don't just go to the open market and buy and come and make. By the time there's a problem, we will not be able to know whom to talk to, or how to handle in terms of track and trace. So that's why we encourage people, and we tell the person, anybody that has issues, let him walk up to our offices, state office or Lagos office, and discuss. They will guide you. That's their purpose. They are scientists and they are regulators. They have been trained sufficiently. They'll be able to guide the applicant or the inquirer on what to do. The same thing applies with pap. If you have issues with your pap, is it the dry pap or the cornstarch or the wet one? It depends on what it is. You take it to our office in Lagos State Office or any state office. They will guide you. They will be able to tell you whether it's registrable or it's not registrable, you know. But basically, the guide we need to know is that if your product is to be registered, it has to be prepackaged, it has to be labeled properly, and it has to have some kind of shelf life. It should be able to last up to a week, 3 months, 1 month, a week, 1 month, 3 months, and so on. If it's something that you make, like a woman cooks moi moi, and then she puts it in a leaf, and in the morning, by night, the whole thing is exhausted. You can't be registering such products because the shelf life it has is too small to be able to require all those registration documentation requirements. But if it's a product that's going to be on the shelf for 3 days, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, like bread, like cakes, all those products will need some level of approval from us. And we have categorized all of them accordingly. And once the client comes up to us, we'll be able to tell him precisely how to go about it.
Thank you so very much. On behalf of Faith Foundation, on behalf of the participants, and of course the Executive Director, Adenike Adeyemi, would like to say a very thank you to Mr. Ayankop and Mr. Declan Oko. Thank you so much. You spent 2 amazing hours with us, and we really appreciate that. On a final note, how can they contact the desk of the small and medium scale help, the help desk? How can they contact the help desk? On a final note.
Well, thank you. Once again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be part of this program. The MSME desk is in the office of the Director of Drug Registration and Regulatory Affairs in Isolo, Lagos. But NAFDAC is Isolo. NAFDAC is Isolo, Lagos. But like I said, most of the products that are under the micro, small, and medium enterprises has been decentralized and moved to the Lagos State Office, located in our central laboratory complex in Oshodi, Lagos. So either way, if the person walks up to me in Isolo, Lagos, I will assist the person. Or if the person feels free to go to the Lagos State Office, send a mail to those links. Lagos State Office is in Lagos. If you just go online and search for Lagos State Office of Navdark, all their contacts are there. So you feel free to just meet us and discuss with us. And then all the state offices too, just find out, if you go online, you also find out the contacts of all the directors in the zones and all the states. That is where most of those products that fall under the category of MSME can be registered from the beginning to the end without necessarily coming to us in the office complex in the Isolo. So that's how to respond to that. Thank you very much.
All right.
My colleague, I'll say thank you very much for it.
Thank you very much once again. We appreciate you and we look forward to seeing you again, and we're sure that you would oblige us. Thank you very much. So on behalf of everyone at Faith Foundation, again, we say have a good afternoon and have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. I'll give you a good luck.